Rehydrates a little quicker, so I'm just going to strain off the rice a little bit. And we're going to throw this right in our pot of boiling water already, so that's going to help cook a lot quicker too. So growing up, when my mom would make rice, she would always have us soak the rice for her. So we would always rinse the rice for her and then soak it all day, and it would just sit there and rehydrate, and that way when my mom cooked rice, she would cook it in a big pot of boiling water, and it would only take like 8 minutes to cook. So while our rice is going for that, we're gonna get the base of our rice pudding. So I have a pot right here that I'm heating up. In that, I'm gonna throw about a tablespoon of ghee. If you don't have ghee, you can use butter, but you wanna make sure that you brown the butter a little bit, just so you get a little bit extra flavor in there. And you're gonna toast these spices. We always talk about toasting spices with us, right? The cardamom, the star anise, the cinnamon, these are gonna add a lot of great flavors to our rice pudding, to our kheer. Kheer is something that my mom would always make growing up for special occasions, and it always just kind of reminds me of mom and home. And when I make this dish, it's really warm and heartwarming, but I always felt like it's a little rich, so to add to that, I'm gonna make a little bit of a fruit salad. I have a couple of blood oranges here. You don't have to get blood oranges and be fancy. I just had them hanging around, and I know it's a weird thing to have hanging around, but you can use regular oranges if you want. And I have 2 apples here. Ideally, I like using Granny Smith apples because I think the acidity of the apples really help cut through the richness of this pudding, but I have a Red Delicious here, and I have just a regular old Gala apple over here as well, some mint, and that's gonna be kind of the basis of our salad. I'm not gonna add any extra sugar. I'm just gonna kind of let these flavors hang out, and I'm also gonna toast some almonds for this as well. So once our ghee is hot, I'm gonna add our spices to this, and just to get them blooming and infused in there. And I keep saying this is rich. Why? Because we have 3 milks that are going in here. It's almost like a tres leche kind of deal. We have condensed milk. I'm gonna add half of this can, which is super sweet. That's why there's no extra sugar in there, because I have condensed milk going in there, and I have 2 cups of evaporated milk. Evaporated milk is just milk that has kind of been reduced down a little bit. It's a little sweeter, has a little bit of a nuttier flavor. I absolutely love it. It's delicious. This is definitely not a low-fat dish. Then I also added a cup of whole milk to this as well. Growing up, I was kind of a fat kid growing up, so I would always, sometimes for a little treat for myself, I would eat my cereal with evaporated milk. It's so good, but I definitely don't recommend it because it's not good for your cholesterol and not good for your health. So you can see that the spices are starting to toast just a little bit, and you're gonna start smelling like the nuttiness from the ghee. You're gonna start smelling all of these, the cinnamon, the star anise start to really infuse that ghee a little bit and start to help with our milk mixture. Our milk is gonna go right in here after this kind of toast up a little bit, really get all those great flavors in there. And then our rice is going strong over here. So I'm just gonna let that boil. And once it's done boiling, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add condensed milk right to this, because what that's gonna do is gonna help really melt down the condensed milk and really get really incorporated into that rice when it's done. And then this milk mixture is gonna go in here. So it's just gonna be a nice creamy pudding. Sometimes you can eat this for breakfast if you really want, especially with this fruit on top. You can make this vegan if you want. You can use almond milk, oat milk, cashew milk, whatever milk you want to use. You can even use condensed coconut milk. Condensed coconut milk, you can just take coconut milk, reduce it down with a little bit of brown sugar, and get it thick, so where it's like this consistency. I'm gonna show you how thick this is. Right, so you see how thick and almost like creamy and like caramel that is. You can also use this for dulce de leche. So dulce de leche, I think we just had a pop. Did you guys see that? Oh man, a cardamom pop just popped out of here and ended up in my sink. So that means it's pretty much good to go. I'm gonna add our milk to this. I'm just gonna pull it off and just kind of let it do its thing. I'm gonna turn our pot down here to low and just kind of let that simmer and let it kind of do its thing, let it get to know each other in there, let all those flavors start to, you know, talk to each other and get to know each other a little bit, find out what their favorite colors are. So while that's going, we're gonna get started on our fruit salad. So Let me grab a bowl. So with apples, I like to just thinly slice these. I like to quarter them, and then this is my favorite way to kind of do it. So you have a flat surface to do it. So once again, I just quartered my apples, right? I cut them right down the middle, quartered them like that, and then you see where this is right here. What I like to do is I like to just cut that straight down. So you have a nice flat surface so it doesn't move around on you too much. All right, and I'm gonna do that with our other apple over here as well. Like I said, I like to use Granny Smiths for this, but if you can't find Granny Smiths, use any apple you have hanging around. And quite honestly, ooh, I'm gonna take that off. Just gonna let that crack open just a little bit. I like using Granny Smiths just because of the acidity and the tartness that it adds to this. I think really helps cut through richness. Whenever I make a dessert or whenever I make anything at home or for a restaurant or for a menu, I always like to think of the complete dish, right? So I like to think of adding acid. I like to think of adding, some sort of crunchy factor, which we're gonna add with these almonds. So with this, I like to just take my knife, especially if you have a nice sharp knife, and you just kind of go through. You don't have to worry about slicing like that. You can just bring your sharp knife all the way through, and you get nice thin slices just like that. And believe it or not, this rice takes way quicker to cook than you would if you did it normally, right? If you just cooked with the 1-to-1 ratio, you rinse your rice 3 times and then you soak it and then you let it cook into 1-on-1, what'll happen is it'll take like 15 or 20 minutes to cook, right? I'm gonna check our rice in just a second here. Now for our blood oranges or just your regular oranges, we're going to use 3 components of this. So your citrus fruits you can use in a lot of different ways. So I like to just zest it first. Just going to look at that. So you're going to use the zest, you're going to use the flesh, and you're going to use the juice. I don't think people utilize their citrus enough in today's day and age. You're just going to get the zest off. And the zest has all the beautiful oil, all the beautiful flavors in there. And it's just going to bring a nice little freshness to your salad. All right. Now to get the segments, right? You're going to cut the top off, and the bottom off. Now you have this, right? And you're going to just take your knife and you're going to slowly go around the edge and all the white. Use the tip of your knife because that's the sharpest part. And you're just going to go around. God, blood oranges are so pretty. So then you have this. What you're going to do is you're going to take your paring knife now, and you're going to go through. You're going to see the little white edges, and you go through, and you're going to pop them out. Oop. And you're just going to get all of these little beautiful segments, and then you're just going to squeeze the juice in there. So our rice is boiling. You can see all the water has kind of evaporated. I'm going to kind of let that sit. I'm going to cover it and let it do its thing. Let all that water kind of absorb into the rice. And we are just getting all our segments here. So this is a traditional French technique called supreming your citrus fruit, right? So this is just a way to make something look a little bit more finesse, a little bit fancier. You could just get your orange slices and you can do whatever you want, but I like to do this because I think it just adds a little extra to your plate, right? I think it just adds a little bit of finesse, just a little bit of fanciness to it. Because at the end of the day, you want to look cool with all your friends. And we'll do this. And this. All right. So our cream over here, our milk mixture is doing well. It's just slowly coming up. You don't want to boil that to heck because it'll burn on the bottom and then you'll get a scorched milk flavor, which you don't want, obviously, because you know that's not nice at all. So we're just gonna get that, again, squeeze that juice in there. We're just gonna put all these, and even these right here, all of these little scraps and stuff, you can use to infuse some sugar. You can use these to make a little syrup. I like to just cover this all with sugar and just let the natural oils and flavors kind of come out, and it'll give you this really nice syrup. I'm gonna grab one of our towels here and wipe down. I'm gonna cut some more of these. And our rice is actually doing really, really well. We're about to add our half a can of condensed milk to that. All right. And then our mint. I like to just tear it up. And we're going to do another super fancy technique called chiffonading our mint. So you can do this with basil, you can do this with any one of your vegetables, but I like to just roll it up and you just make nice little strips. And again, this is going to add a nice brightness to our whole dish. And that right there, what we're going to do is we're going to give this a little toss. And that blood orange is going to help color all our apples as well, and just add a really pretty color to this whole dish. I mean, just right there, I could probably eat a bowl of that with just yogurt. So, we have our rice here. You can see it's like beautifully cooked, almost perfect and fluffy. Right, I'm gonna add half of this can of condensed milk. I know it looks like a lot, but we're not adding any extra sugar to this whole dish. I don't like my stuff super sweet. All right, and always taste your stuff just to make sure it's good. Growing up, my grandmother used to spread that on buttered toast, and it was so good. So we're just gonna stir this in to our rice pudding. You can see it's already starting to loosen up just a little bit, because it's kind of like when you melt peanut butter, you know, it starts to loosen up a little bit. And then we're gonna take our cream mixture over here and we're gonna strain this right into here. I like to strain it because you don't want to bite down into a big piece of that. You don't want to bite down into a big piece of cardamom because it's just not very nice to bite into that. It's super floral. So we're going to turn that up again and just let this thing cook again. And that rice is going to help thicken up our rice pudding over here. So while that's going, I'm going to toast off some almonds. So I have some slivered almonds over here. I'm just going to throw right into here. And I like adding a crunch to all my dishes. I think you need to have texture. I think you need to have a well-rounded dish. So you think about our components that we have. We have our super sweet and rich rice pudding over here, right? So which is just coming together. So you see where it's at now? So this is going to start to come to a boil and start to thicken up just a little bit. And then over here, we're going to just toast our almonds in a dry pan. So I'm going to turn this up. I want to get a nice bit of color on there. And I'm also going to salt these. I'm not going to add any sugar, so I'm going to salt them because I want to have a nice salty, crunchy bite with this whole dish because it needs that. It needs something to balance out all the sweetness, all the acidity, and just to have that nice, crunchy bite in here is going to help you. You're going to see how beautiful it looks at the end of the day. So I'm going to take this. So we're turning up our pan here. Once this comes to a boil, you're going to see. Just want to reduce it down. I'm actually going to give this a quick taste. Yeah, it's really good. I'm actually going to add just a little bit more of a couple more cardamom pods, 'cause I think it needs it. But for me, this is like the perfect amount of sweetness. So now you might want to add a little bit more sugar. I'm not a big fan of anything super sweet. So I like just enough sugar so you can taste it, but not enough sugar that it's going to like make you super hyper and then have a crazy crash at the end of the day, right? And we're just going to add a little bit of salt. Just a few little turns, because that's going to add, again, a nice little salty bite to it. Now, everyone's probably made rice pudding before, and when I was like growing up in culinary school and people were talking to me about how to make a good rice pudding, they always said to overcook your rice. I kind of don't agree with that. I think it's totally okay if you slightly undercook your rice for when you're making rice pudding, especially if it's like almost like an al dente type of deal, because it adds a little bit of extra kind of toothiness to it. But if you like your stuff a little bit extra cooked, that's also fine too. I just like having this dish cold. You can eat it warm. Instead of rice, you can use vermicelli noodles. You can use lentils. You can use any different types of grain for this. And again, you can use any type of milk you want to use. If you want to make it a little vegan, you can make it vegan. If you want to make it low fat, you don't have to put the condensed milk in it and the evaporated milk. You can totally use skim milk and agave and make it the same way. If you are going to use skim milk, I would recommend reducing it down just a little bit. And I always ate this kind of warm growing up. When my mom would make it, she would add raisins to it and saffron. Saffron is huge, but it's just super expensive, and you don't need to go spend a lot of money just for one dish. But if you are going to get saffron, it is a really great investment because it's super expensive. You don't need a lot. A little goes a long way, and it just adds a beautiful floralness to any dish you want to use it for paellas, for whatever you want to use it for at home. In this dish, it just adds a really beautiful color, and you really only need like a little pinch of it too. So we're starting to get a color on our nuts here. And let's see where we're at with this. So another reason it's going to look really thick, but what's going to happen is when this cools down, it's going to thicken up a little bit too, because it's going to, all the rice and it's going to release a lot of those starches in here, and it's going to thicken up a lot. So we're almost there. We're going to bring that down just a little bit, and then we're going to start plating this bad boy up. I would also use pistachios in this, cashews. I'm using almonds because it's what I had, but I think pistachios work really, really well with this dish. I love the flavor of pistachios. My favorite nut personally is cashews. I don't know how you guys feel. All right. I'm just stirring it to feel the bottom just to make sure the milk isn't scorching. But it's starting to thicken up already. Wish you guys could smell it. This smell just reminds me of home. My mom used to make this for special occasions, and she would make a big old pot of it. And then we would have people coming from my church. They would come over and they would say, Miss Donati, do you have the Kheer? And for some reason with the vermicelli noodles, I think it's better with the vermicelli noodles. This is an easy version to do because I feel like everybody has rice in their house. I'm using basmati rice, but you don't have to use basmati rice. If you want to use brown rice, go ahead. If you want to use instant rice, it'll be a lot quicker than this. You can do that too. It's really, really versatile. But yeah, my mom used to make this dish all the time, and it was just so soul warming. It was just, when I smell all these flavors, when I taste these, it really just takes me back to home and being around my mom and just having my mom cook this for us. Sometimes she would use tapioca pearls too. When she would make it with the tapioca pearls, that was my favorite part of eating Kheer growing up. She would use the vermicelli noodles and the tapioca pearls. Tapioca pearls are kind of like the little spheres you get when you make bubble tea or when you have bubble tea, but it's like a little, just super tiny. All right, we're getting there. All right. And we have all our components here. I'm gonna turn this bad boy down just a little bit. Let me get a ladle. I think ladles are in here. Ooh. So you see it's starting to thicken up just a little bit. Turn it down. So my mom would make like this big batch of it, and it would just be sitting on the stovetop all day, just reducing, just really getting a nice flavor to it. And again, I really like rice pudding. I think rice puddings are a good dessert. I think it's a quick dessert. I think it's a really great vessel of flavors. You can add whatever flavoring you want to this as well. You can add, you can even add some cocoa powder, make it a chocolate Kheer. If you want to add a little dash of vanilla, you can do that. That would add a great flavor to it. I think this has a really great base flavor that you can add so much to it. You can add so many different flavor profiles to it. I just think it's one of my favorite desserts to make when I'm in a pinch, because I think it's quick to make. I think you guys are seeing it in real time. It's going to be done in about 25 minutes from start to finish, especially if you have everything already done. So I'm going to take our fruit and just put it right on the side here. All right, just garnish it like that. And put it right over here, and then we're just going to garnish it with our nuts. And tell me that doesn't look like a restaurant quality dish. You can even throw a couple sprigs of mint on top if you want it to look even fancier. Right? And that's it. That's our rice pudding right there. We're gonna taste it over here. I'm gonna see if I did my mom proud. And like I said, as this sits, it's just gonna thicken up, and you can eat it for breakfast in the morning. You can eat it as a dessert. And something about warm milk that just makes you want to go to sleep right away. I don't know if you guys drink warm milk to go to bed, but I do. Then I'm just gonna try our salad over here. Again, this fruit salad, I think I could probably eat just by itself. So you're gonna get so much. You're gonna get so much depth of flavor with this, so much complexity. The salty bite from the almonds are gonna just cut through the sweetness of that a little bit. You're gonna get the sweetness and the tartness from the apples and the blood oranges. It's just gonna be a really good bite. And again, it's so versatile. I think I made my mom proud with this dish. I really do. I hope the staff is gonna agree with me when they try this after we sign off, because it's just super delicious. And you can also make these in big batches. And what you can do is you can make these in big batches, put it into little containers, and then you could even give that away to your friends and family as little gifts for holidays. It's just gonna sit here, and you can even see it now. It's getting thicker and thicker as we sit here and talk. I can't wait for you guys to try this recipe. I want you guys to tag me in it, Reuben's Indian Kitchen. I want you guys to tag me personally, Curry Killer. I want you guys to try this dish and make it at home, and I want you guys to have fun with it. That's the best part about this dish. You guys can do so many things with it. You guys can add so many flavors to it, mess around with the milks, mess around with the flavoring agents you're adding to it. You don't have to add the cardamom and star anise and the cinnamon if you don't want to. You could add clove to this if you want. You can add whatever you want to it to make it tailored to your taste, right? And at the end of the day, that's why cooking is so fun, because it's what you make of it. You can have so much fun with it. You can be creative. I want you guys to try this recipe at home. Make it pretty, make it nice, and I want you guys to enjoy this food. Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you next time.